Hello, welcome to FHE on the Road with Christine Stevenson. This podcast is designed to connect the people and the places from the past with your lives today, with 5-minute stories and facts from church history. Save these stories for when you are traveling through these areas to bring history to life. Okay, welcome back to FHE on the Road with Christine. Today I have a story on the Manhattan, New York temple. I have loved learning about this temple. I know it's closed right now, and it's really hard when temples close. We live by the Salt Lake City temple, and it is hard having that temple closed for so long. So I can imagine what the New York City Saints are going through right now. But it's really fun to learn about how these temples came to be. And this one specifically has a lot of really amazing stories. There's a quote by Dallin H. Oaks that says, quote, "Miracles happen every day in the work of the church and in the lives of its members," end of quote. And I really believe that. I see miracles all the time, and especially studying these stories of the temples of the Lord and church history, combining those two subjects, it's like miracles are happening all over the place, and it's so fun to learn them. So hopefully you like these too. So right before the Manhattan, New York temple was built, there was a great urgency to get the temple to the Saints of New York. The membership of the New York Saints had tripled the decade before the temple was announced, and those members were in desperate need of a temple. The membership of New York was 42,000 at the time of the announcement of the Manhattan, New York temple. But as you can imagine, the biggest problem with getting a temple in New York was the cost. The real estate in New York was very expensive, and the size that was needed to build a temple would have been way above budget for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. President Hinckley announced the temple in Hartford, Connecticut that would serve the New York City Saints, but it turns out there was tons of opposition for the church in that area, and they did not find the land that would be suitable to build a temple there in Hartford, Connecticut at that time. And President Hinckley said he knew the members of Connecticut would be sad. It just was not working out. I can't imagine. That would be so hard to be a member in Hartford, Connecticut. After hearing the announcement, and then it's like, it just didn't work. Now they have one, but it took a long time, and I have a story about that too. President Hinckley went to tour some of the properties in downtown New York and found some that would be good for ward buildings. He went through the church-owned property in Lincoln. President Hinckley had an idea of changing the Stake Center in downtown New York to serve as a temple, as they had done in Hong Kong. This was recorded in President Hinckley's journal. He said, quote, "We then went to our Lincoln Center property." He said, "I went all through this very carefully with the thought that the upper room might be converted to a beautiful and serviceable temple. The more I saw it, the better I felt about it. We would do here what we have done in Hong Kong." He recorded in his journal that he prayed about it, and then he wrote, quote, "I feel enthusiastic." I love that. I love that the prophet of God gets answers to prayers like we do. He just felt so good about it. So in President Hinckley's journal, he recorded that he told members this the next day, quote, "The only reason I have come here," he said, "was to see what we could do to move along a temple in this area. We have had so much trouble. We must do something. I cannot foretell what will happen, but I can only give you this promise that somehow, whether it is there or some other place, I'm going to see that we can get a temple built in this New York area while I am still alive," end of quote. And President Hinckley said he told the members that, quote, "Within 2 years, we will have a temple here for dedication." So that was a pretty big promise. It ended up taking a little longer than 2 years to get the Manhattan Temple dedicated. And this is what President Hinckley said about it. He said, quote, "I have come back to fulfill that promise. I'm sorry I am late. I said I would be back in 2 years. I meant roughly 2 years." End of quote. I miss President Hinckley's humor. He's so great. It was so fun listening to him. I love how Heavenly Father works with us and the same way he works with his prophets. President Hinckley, he was given this thought and idea, and then he started moving forward, and he kept praying about it and thinking about it and getting that answer from the Lord as he went, and he just felt so good about it. Truly a miracle had to happen to get a temple for the New York Saints. Sometimes things seem completely impossible, but with time and faith and prayer, the Lord guides us to the right solution for our needs. It would have been so discouraging. The temple in Hartford, Connecticut, that will be for the New York Saints, and then that falls through. It would have been so hard. In the talk entitled Miracles, Elder Dallin H. Oaks said miracles have been defined as, quote, "a beneficial event brought about through divine power that mortals do not understand and of themselves cannot duplicate," end of quote. Finding real estate that would work for a temple in Manhattan seemed like something that would be virtually impossible. But with the Lord, nothing is impossible, and he shows His people miracles every day. I love this story. I thought it was so incredible. I'm excited to have the New York City temple redone and to go out there for the dedication, hopefully, or the open house. I think that would be so fun. Anyways, so that's just a little bit on how the New York City temple came to be, and I hope you liked it. Thanks. Thank you for listening to FHE on the road today. We hope you enjoyed what you've heard. Please like, subscribe, and share with anyone who'd be interested in these stories. Thanks.